What's up, you hooligans? Mark with Cardivox Academy here, and today we're doing something pretty dope, if I do say so myself. We're checking out Darko US, their new song, Anna, that just came out yesterday as of the recording of this video. And it's pretty exciting because it's got a feature from Taylor Barber, which means we get two barbers in one song. And it doesn't get much better than that. Now, if you're new to the channel, my name is Mark. I'm a metal vocalist myself. My main project is a band called Kardashev. Now, we actually, I don't usually do a lot of self-promo of my band on this channel, but we do have a full-length album coming out through Metal Blade Records on June 10th, this Friday, I think. Is it Friday? Yes, this Friday. Through Metal Blade Records. It's going to be pretty cool. Hope you dig it. You can see our music videos on their channel. Check it out if you like it. Maybe you want to pre-order a copy. Who's to say? But what I do here on the channel is I actually lean on my vocal coach side, because I am a vocal coach specifically focusing on teaching people nasty, gurgly, gritty vocals and how to do them effectively and safely and all that good stuff. And I take the reaction format. I break it down. I have some fun with it. We do pause the song, so be prepared for that. We do pause the song, we talk about vocals, and I tell you what the vocalist is doing, or if I'm not so sure, my best guess, or how I would approach it. Because sometimes you don't know. But that's enough. I think that's enough of that. If you enjoy the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Means a lot. Love seeing the channel grow. And we do have a very active Patreon community that's active on our Discord server. We just had, last night we had I think 7 or 8 hour listening party where we listen to all sorts of crazy music. We have karaoke events twice a month. So it's cool. It's good stuff. I think that's enough of that, though. Let's go ahead and let's check out Darko US, Anna, featuring Taylor Barber. Let's go.
Press start.
Whoa, we made it past the 40-second window. We did it. It's so rare that we do that. If you know, you know. Okay, so, whoa. Okay, there's a lot. There's a lot going on here. So I'm not going to probably talk about every single individual thing I picked up, because I'm sure that it'll carry through the song. And, I don't want to front load the video too much. But I will talk about a couple things. The first thing is, one of the things I really like about Tom Barber so much is that if I was to pick like a couple words to describe his vocals, it would be like loose and swaggery. If swaggery is a word, it would be swaggery, because there's a certain level of like nonchalant, like laissez-faire, if I'm saying that right, or execution, but it gives it like a confidence and like a smugness that I think comes across very, very well. We heard a lot of a large mix of really cool stuff. We had at the beginning a nice layer of highs and mids, right? Might have been a low. My brain might have forgotten that a little bit, but I loved the two working together. It's a really common deathcore and death metal technique, putting a high and a low together just to make things sound really big and aggressive. And doing that at the beginning is really nice. I love those high, like, like those sort of like high pointed high vocals. Always a sucker for those. Then we had sort of Tom Barber's like, gritty sort of false chord influence, loose shouting that he does really well. It's the timbre that he puts on it, I think, that makes it interesting, because that's a technique that a lot of, metal vocalists will use, right? They'll take this like, hey, 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 right? But he has like this slightly extra, it's a little bit airier, and it's almost like a little bit hyponasal, right? For anybody curious, hyponasal would be like nasality that's like kind of below. Hypernasality is a nasality that's high up here. So hyponasality is kind of like you have a cold. Hypernasality is like your Bugs Bunny. Not a lot of vocals, at least off the top of my head, utilize like a slightly like hyponasal type of sound. And so it's interesting that he's getting that tone there. And then the only one I'm going to go back and listen to, just because it's like, I feel like it's like so Tom Barber, is that really big, thick low. Let's find it here real quick. Yeah, that's such a cool sound. I feel like I hear a little bit of that hyponasality in there as well, and there's so much cavernousness created. Now, Tom and I, we are different vocalists, so we create our vocals in different ways, right? If I was to approach that sound, it sounds like, let me listen to it one more time. I kind of am going both ways on that one. Like, it does sound like it could be like a heavily Fry influenced thing. It also sounds like it could be a heavily arytenoid influenced sound, and it could of course be a combination of these things existing together. For anybody who's not familiar, your arytenoids are these two larger cartilages that sit above the vocal folds, above the false chords, and they're involved in the opening and the closing of the vocal folds, right? And when we bring them together and we use them, it sounds kind of like and you get like a really low rate of distortion when you utilize those. And basically it sounds kind of like now on their own, like that, they don't really sound like that much. But if you learn to lean on them, and it's not necessarily, unless you've got a lot of vocal experience behind you, I wouldn't necessarily start there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little harder to use, right? But if you lean on that sound, which again, on its own, doesn't sound like much. Let me pop this earphone off. It has kind of that sound. If I was going for this sound like in the studio and somebody was like, yo, Mark, try to recreate that in the moment with no prep, like I'm doing now, that's what I would lean on, because that's where I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable with that than a Fry tone. That's just the kind of vocalist I am, right? And I would take that. I'd leave a little bit of voicing in there, right? I'd leave a little bit of voicing in there. I'd mix it with a like that sort of sound right there. I would increase the airflow, pull my tongue back and up, and I would sort of make this with my lips. So if I did this with my clean voice, I don't think that's exactly what he's doing, but I think it's close enough to where, I would export and send and call it a day. It's a really cool sound, and I think it's one that's really unique to him. This sort of sound is definitely one of those that is going to sound a lot like you versus washing up in the rest of the vocal sphere. Some vocals sound a lot like other people. Some are more signature and unique. And I think of this as a really signature Tom Barber sound. Anyway, I've been talking about that for a long time. Let's keep going. I can only forgive you. Okay, that sounds like a pause. I'm like trying to anticipate when we'll have a moment. Okay, so this song has a lot of vocal things happening at one time. So when I approach songs like this, I kind of like wish I could sit down and really like pick it apart, maybe even have the vocal stems to hear through some of the layers, to hear through some of the processing. By the way, I always say this because there's always some Scrooge, but when I say vocal processing, I'm not insinuating that the vocalist is faking their sound. I'm just saying a little bit of some reverb, some delay, some compression, maybe like throwing some exciters on there or something to accentuate the pop. When we have a lot of layers of that, it can kind of make it hard to pick out individual distinct things. So no, nobody in this song is faking their vocals. This is just standard audio production that you would put on your voice. I don't do a lot of audio production. These are just things that the people who have produced my voice have talked about. Anyway, one thing that I'm noticing across all of these shouts or all of these screams is they're very shouty. And I say that in a good way. It's interesting. When you describe like a clean singer, shouty is not necessarily a term you want as a clean singer, but shouty in metal vocals can be really, really good. And one thing that's happening, one reason that we're getting that is because there's a little bit more true chord phonation that's being allowed through, right? There's a little bit more sound of like a human, right? So like true chord phonation, hey, non-true chord phonation, just pure texture, right? Allowing the two to exist at the same time. Hey, right? I am a big believer in new vocalists should focus on comfort, control, and not connecting their vocal folds. And if they're doing fry, which does involve some connected vocal folds, keeping it low and consistent and without like a lot of subglottal pressure or glottal tension early on. That's my thing. I don't really advocate for people who are learning how to scream to do like voiced screams because your vocal folds, you're born with them, you get one set, that's kind of it. Surgery and procedures have come a long way, right? It's a lot better than it was back in the day, but like, so what? You want to avoid that at all costs. So sometimes we'll do exercises that have our true voice involved briefly. For example, like a big false chord one is Kargria. But when we actually lean into a scream, we remove the voice. Right? We remove that. And that's something that generally a lot of people need guidance. Not everybody. Some people are just naturally good at this. Anyways, I got off on a little tangent, but what I'm hearing is a lot of true chord phonation added in. So whether it's like a lower, like more belty sound, it's got that underneath. If it's more of a mid, it's got a little bit of that. One scream that I heard that didn't have that, which was like this super high, tasty scream. Sounded like a fry scream to me. Again, there's a lot going on, so I could be wrong. But it sounded really, really sick. And I'm liking how they're managing that aggression with the tempo of the song without muddying it up. And there's a lot of passing back and forth that's really cool. Like we'll have like this layer of shouts and then like that high, like what sounds like a fry scream in the middle, and then a layer of shouts and then a fry scream in the middle. It's really cool. I love it. Let's keep going. I'm wondering about Taylor's feature. I don't know if he's like layered in with everybody or if he's going to have like a moment to shine by himself. Taylor, if you're not familiar with Taylor Barber, A, I'm surprised. And B, his band Left to Suffer is very, very good. And you should check out his TikTok because he's also got a really nice clean singing voice. And sometimes he does some clean singing there too. So anyways, that's just a plug for Taylor. Anyways, here we go. Yeah. Okay. I'm I'm glad I didn't stop before that. It sounds like a little bit airier. We'll talk about that in a second. So okay, yeah. That's pretty cool. So one really cool thing about Taylor's voice, you know, because he's in this track, and I think that was him doing a lot of those lows there. If I'm wrong, my apologies. But one really cool. I had the chance to meet him when his band came through. They were with Scumfuck and Traders and a couple others. But I had the chance to meet him. It was really cool. I talked to him and we it's funny because the dude is like twice my height. And I was like, yo, is it weird if I look in your mouth while you scream? And he was like, I don't remember exactly how we worded it, but he was like, yeah, sure. And he pulls his tongue like back. I wouldn't have guessed that. And I never do that. But like, I'm looking at myself in the camera over here, or in the screen. I mean, he kind of like has this, yeah, it was kind of like this. It doesn't do for me what it does for his voice, but it just kind of goes to show how dynamic the tongue is when shaping our voice. The tongue is one of the main ways that we move our voice around, right? Like if I'm going to do, like we had some tunnel throats in there as an ambient effect, which by the way, to both Tom Barber and Taylor Barber, man, their initials are TB. What the heck? What the heck is this? Is it Illuminati confirmed? Maybe. I appreciate that the song is not 90% tunnels. I love tunnels. They are fun to do. I just walk around the house and do them. But sometimes you get 2 minutes into a song and you're like, I get it, bro. You can do tunnels. That's cool. So I appreciate that it was used a little bit more as a sprinkling here. You know, and it's more of a seasoning. But like, for example, if the whole thing about what a tunnel is it's a manipulation of tongue space, whether it's here, and you're creating different resonance in your mouth. Right, you can hear that it changes, and I'm not doing anything different with my distortion. Not here, not here. Right, it's just it's the same scream, right? So Taylor pulling his tongue back like that was really fascinating. I remember after the show, I was like, you know, I was at home and I was like playing around with that myself. No. And it didn't make that same cavernous sound. So there's something in his vocal anatomy, maybe just like a massive pharyngeal space, who's to say, that I really like. Anyways, yeah, let's talk about this again. Let's talk about this I'll go back to 235. It sounds super like loose. It sounds super loose and airy, but I actually really like it. One more time. Sorry, Ludo. Yeah, it sounds like that's much like it sounds like that, like couple layers of that. Usually when you hear like blez or like barks or whatever, like in Loathe, which is a Left to Suffer song, you hear more of like an like a more connected sound, or like a blah, like it's more connected. So the airiness there was pretty cool. I actually might like that more than the typical buh that's used to transition sections. I don't know, maybe, but that was really cool. Let's keep going. One thing I'm going to say real quick is I appreciate that the guitar tone, I'm not a guitarist, I don't build tones, so this is just, you know, kind of me randomly making a remark, but I appreciate that the guitar tone is aggressive, but the chugs aren't mixed so forward. I feel like I'm getting my skull crushed. Like they're very punchy, but they're not overpowering everything. That does happen sometimes. So I'm really enjoying the way that this song is produced. That was sick. So the outro was a lot of the same vocal stuff I talked about so far. So I'm not gonna rehash that. But that I hope that outro, that like, I hope that's on like the album or single version, because that was really cool. With the visuals and everything. Who made this video? I probably don't know them, but whoever made it, I won't spend too much time looking for it, but whoever, like, well, it was a whole team. That makes sense. Kudos to all of you, because this video was sick. I loved, oh yeah, Norbert Crowfield, and everybody else. Excellent job. I loved like the spooky demon and stuff, but or lab experiment, maybe was where it was. I think that if I was to say to everybody viewing what I wanted them to take away from this video is a lot like, okay, cool, there was some cool false chord and fry stuff here for sure. But I think this song is a really good example of how you can create distortion from a place of relaxation, right? We can think, and I'm going to say a funny word here, our larynx, right? Our airway, our vocal passage has like multiple sphincters, right? It's got multiple squeeze points, and we can isolate those squeeze points and bring them together in order to create different new sounds and different new points of distortion, right? And I think one of the biggest challenges for new vocalists is learning how to isolate those movements. And that's why normally, with rare exception, when I get a new student, I am teaching them, I'm starting them with the most foundational stuff that is out there, right? The most foundational stuff that's out there. And the reason for this is because manipulating your vocal passage in this way is new and different. And the fact of the matter is, like the baseline false chord, yeah, hey, that requires no narrowing, at least that I can sense or feel, or that I've seen. I went and got scoped. I didn't get the video or anything, but actually a month ago today, I go twice a year because I've got really bad acid reflux, so I get checked. Anyway, and I did like a bunch of metal stuff under the camera, and like this, there's really no muscle activation that I or the doctor was able to see. But when we take that, influence it with the arytenoids, we are creating a little bit of tension in a specific spot. And that's a little bit more tricky to do. A lot of this song is, in my opinion, some people may disagree with me, a little bit more on the advanced side, right? So I wouldn't necessarily start anybody here, but it's a good example of how sometimes our conception can be, the more advanced I get, the more loud and tense I get, when in actuality, advancing often means, and pretty much always means, carrying that relaxation, carrying that focus on resonance versus just pure volume with you. I'm rambling a little bit, but it's because I liked the song and I thought there was a lot to talk about. So good job to the guys in Darko. Excellent job to the Toms, to the TBs. Great song here. I think that's enough. I think that's enough for me today. Again, if you liked the content, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Means a lot to me to watch the channel grow. And I also, again, if you are so inclined, if you want to hear the music I make, it's not deathcore, but it is pretty gnarly metal. It's just not this. Keep an eye out for the album Liminal Right dropping oh god, June 10th. I got a lot to do. We got a lot to do. Carter Chef has a lot to do. And if you really enjoyed the content and you want to check out the community and support the channel, check us out on Patreon. We do have an awesome Discord community. And finally, I do give vocal lessons. I'm not the only person out there getting metal vocal lessons. Shop around, find the person that you think is going to be right for you. But I would love the opportunity to help you go if you're so inclined. Anyways, beyond that, many thanks. Much love. I'm out.